everybody. Well, next wave has been released, and it is the new sectorial for the combined army. We're going to have a look at some of the new troops that are going to be coming out for combined army, especially in next wave, what's in the action box, and just have a look at all of the profiles that these models will bring, and we'll try and see if we can get a flavor for how next wave are going to be playing in the game of Infinity. So without further ado, we're going to jump straight into the action box, have a look at what models are in there, and more importantly, what do they do on the table. So first up, we've got our Harbingers. These are our light infantry troops for next wave. In the box set, we get 3 of these guys, 2 of them with combi rifles, and 1 is a hacker. What we find is that their general stats, you know, movement, close combat, so on and so forth, is pretty standard, bog standard line infantry stuff. So nothing really special right there. In terms of our weaponry and loadouts, we've got the usual good range of options for line infantry. We've got our combi rifle, we've got an HMG, we've got missile launcher, AP marksman rifle, combi rifle, specialist with comlink if you're doing reinforcements. Now the interesting thing with the hacker is that they come with a Vulcan shotgun. If you're not familiar with the Vulcan shotgun, this is a combined army weapon, which is basically a boarding shotgun that does continuous damage as it has flaming ammo, I guess. That's a pretty nasty weapon to go up against, and it's carried by the hacker, who also has mine layer and EM mines. So that's a really nice combination of stuff. So straight away you can just put a defensive EM mine down in your zone, make sure nothing kind of sneaks up behind you. I really like the fact that this hacker is there, and it's 18 points. It's the expensive end of a hacker from the base 13 points for a line trooper, but the fact that you get a Vulcan shotgun, but the EM mines with mine layer, that's kind of nice. Otherwise, you can just go with a mine layer option, and that's just 14 points with 1 point extra, coming with shock mines. Also a decent option, but that one, again, Vulcan shotgun on that one. We've got a Harbinger with forward observer with an AP submachine gun for the forward observer. They also get the flash pulse +1 burst and a wild parrot. So this one could be a good button pusher that you're actually pushing forward as a line infantry and throwing out the basically an EM mine far ahead of yourself is quite nice. You've got the paramedic option, and we've got a lieutenant option. So they're pretty standard stuff, with a couple of exceptions being the hacker being a little bit different with mine layer, and a forward observer with a bunch of different little options there. Otherwise, pretty standard stuff for line infantry. What's interesting though, what's a bit different about them is going to be their skills. So everyone comes with courage, so they're a bit like JSA in that they can stand their ground or they can hide. It's your choice. No roll on the guts check. We've got the dodge +3 as well. Now, they have physical 10, which is pretty standard for line infantry. So line infantry are usually really bad at dodging, and whenever you're in a firefight, I've found that quite often, more than not, that just having a go at shooting at your opponent rather than trying to dodge because your dodge is garbage has been a thing. With these guys though, they get dodge +3, so that's a 13 on a dodge, which is pretty damn good, and that's a very viable option if you want to try and keep them survivable. They also have combat instincts, so no one's going to be doing surprise attack on them either. So these guys are pretty, they've got some nice useful skills, and I think this goes some way into why a base trooper is 13 points, which is quite expensive for a line infantry model. They do have the Zapper as well, which is also a combined weapon, which I believe does electromagnetic damage in a teardrop, a small teardrop template. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I quite like that as a base line infantry. we've got the Ironsides, the heavy mobile regiment. These guys obviously are the heavy infantry model that you get in the set. They have a move of 6-2, which is very nice and fast. They kind of look a little bit like the Shasvasti Gwylo. And I think they're using a lot of the technology and the armor for that, but unlike the Gwylo that has a 4-4 move, these guys have a 6-2 move, which is far more useful because you're going to be making use of that first move a lot more than that second move. Otherwise, stats are pretty standard, pretty low armor for a heavy infantry, kind of reflecting the Gwylo armor that they're wearing, with a high BTS. But yeah, that's pretty standard stuff. What's going to be very interesting about these guys is again in the skills and what makes them a bit unique and special. So BS attack -3. I really like BS attack -3. It puts a lot of pressure on the opponent and a lot of frustration on the opponent, as whenever you're AROing shooting or you're shooting directly at an opponent, all of their reactionary rolls are going to be at a -3, which is just so much fun when you're the one dishing it out. Quite frustrating when you're receiving it. Albedo -3 as well is a bit of a link to that Gwylo as well, where basically anything where you're going up against MSV shooting at you will actually suffer -3 to the rolls. Also has combat instinct, so avoiding surprise attacks and things. They're kind of like a bit of a professional army here, where the troopers here are very well trained to be prepared. The tactical awareness will give them an extra order, always very useful. They're techno-organic. I don't know what this is yet. We may already know this by the time my video comes out, but at the time of recording, I'm not sure what techno-organic is. And they're a religious troop. This is a bit different from courage, where courage you can choose your guts roll result. With religious troop, these guys love to keep on fighting, so when you want to hide from being shot at, that's when you have to roll a guts roll to see if you can overcome your zealous nature and actually duck into cover. So yeah, it's interesting. They want to fight. Now in terms of the loadouts, we've got a 0 SWC option, which is a multi-rifle, light flamethrower and disco baller. This can also be taken as a lieutenant option as well. So if you're a bit low on SWC and you want a heavy infantry unit, perfectly good option there. I always like having a disco baller option as well, in case I really need something to help cover some other units advance. Otherwise, we have the 1.5 SWC options, which is the APHMG with light flamethrower and a heavy rocket launcher option with EM carbine. This is my personal choice of heavy infantry here. I really enjoy using a heavy rocket launcher. I find that having heavy infantry that is very good on ARO and a bit scary on ARO is very useful for messing with the opponent. So a heavy rocket launcher for me is my personal choice. I really like using those. And having the EM carbine as well means that you also have a close range weapon that you can use. Obviously the EM carbine, I believe, is non-lethal, but what it does, it will basically immobilize enemies, which is in itself sometimes even better and more satisfying than killing an opponent outright. Finally, there is also a hacker option as well with a killer hacker device, and he has a submachine gun and emitter. Emitter is similar to the EM carbine, just longer range. So the submachine gun is your short range weapon, your emitter is your long range weapon. I'm not sure if this is one that I'm gonna choose personally. To be honest, it is the cheapest option, so if points are scarce and you really want that heavy infantry model, then you could go with this. But having a submachine gun and emitter means that I'm perhaps not using my BS attack -3 to its full extent, and I'm not sure how useful of a killer hacker the Ironside is going to be, considering that if you're trying to get up close to things, your close combat isn't exactly that amazing or anything like that. So I'm not sold on the killer hacker device personally. However, heavy rocket launcher, APHMG, very, very good options. Could even see the multi-rifle being quite a nice option as well. These guys look like Isaac from Dead Space. But what's interesting about these is they're actually going to be playing a bit like the JSA's Jizumarai. Before I get into their profile exactly, what do I mean by that? I mean, they have a dodge +3 and they already have a physical of 12. So they're dodging on 15s. I can't remember if the Jizumarai also dodge on 15s or 16s, but it's a really, really good dodge. And they've also got dodge +2 inches. So they're also dodging 4 inches at a time. So you're using the dodge to basically avoid getting hit, hopefully, and also move closer to your opponent to get into close combat. Why do you want to get into close combat? Well, you've got a close combat of 23, which is a very, very good close combat level, and their martial arts level 3, which is also a pretty high martial arts level, which gives you the extra dice as well in close combat. So these guys are going to be basically hunting the enemy's button pushers. I think this is a really, really useful use of them, considering they cannot be button pushers themselves. If you're not familiar with button pusher, I mean, they're basically an objective taker. You have to have specialists to take objectives, and if you don't have enough specialists, one way that you can deal with winning a game is killing the opponent's objective takers, and so Raindancer here will be very, very useful. They also have the Mimetism -6, which means that they're going to be even harder to hit than the Jizumarai, who have Mimetism -3. So these guys are really nice, I think. And at a price cost between 18 to 24 points, I think quite affordable as well. So I'm definitely going to be taking one. I think they are an auto choice for me when I'm putting together an army, because I really like this type of profile as well. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. When I first saw the Jizumarai profile, I think I remember saying that I wasn't sure it was going to be very good. I then actually played it up against one and was like, man, these things are hard to hit. So having one in the next wave when I start using them is going to be a lot of fun for me. Otherwise, yeah, the actual loadouts that they have is, we've got the cheapest option is submachine gun, chain rifle, and grenades. So you're looking at getting up close and personal with these guys, and so you need to avoid some of the lanes to try and get this one up the field and into a decent position. But with the previous option that we saw with the disco baller, I can see that you could run the multi-rifle Ironsides, throw down a disco ball, you have the Raindancer just run through that that kind of clouded area, get into cover, and be up the field in no time, especially with that 6-2 move. And we've also got the option to have a Red Fury with chain rifle, SWC1, so it gives you a light machine gun option. That is 24 points, which is the most expensive, but definitely a viable option there to be a little bit more scary in its shooting as well. This then gets us some interesting profiles where we get BS attack +1 burst, and the first one was with the Contender. So this makes the Contender much more scary, as the Contender is a very low burst weapon. Having that extra burst on it is really useful. Also, you get the chain rifle and grenades again, but it does cost a 0.5 SWC to be getting that +1 burst. Alternatively, you can do it on a light shotgun, which again is a very short ranged weapon, but a light shotgun at +1 burst I think is a lot scarier than a submachine gun, and it doesn't cost you any SWC. It's just 1 point more at 19 points. I think that's definitely worth it. It also, remember that +1 burst will also affect your chain rifle as well, so you'll get an extra burst on the chain rifle too. So the final profile is a little interesting. We get that +1 burst profile with the light shotgun, but this time we get a +4 inch forward deployment. That's really nice, because then you're getting closer up the field and you're already going to start approaching the midfield where the enemy's button pushers might be pushing as well. So it just helps you get up ahead of the field, get in a good position early on. You also get mine layer as well, so you can actually drop an EM mine right at the beginning of the game, 4 inches up the battlefield. Again, very, very useful defensively as well for your force as they start pushing forward. Very viable option. 23 points makes it a little bit more expensive, so it really just depends on how many points you have available in your army, kind of which profiles you're going to go for. But I really like the Raindancer. I think that one's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm most likely going to be bringing 2 of them in my armies when I'm playing. Next, we've got the Contrabandoleros, which I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing correctly, but is an absolute mouthful to be saying. So I might just call it a contraband. Or we could just call them Contras, which is kind of cool. This model's stats aren't particularly impressive in any way, shape, or form. However, it's all going to be in their skills, and this is what makes them expensive here. They have surprise attack -3 because, surprise, surprise, they have hidden deployment, camouflage, and infiltration. Their infiltration is rather good. This is where I think the points are being spent. With a physical of 16, that means you dodge the I think it's the -3 for trying to infiltrate in the opponent's half, and you're just rolling a physical 16 roll to set up in the opponent's half, making it a very, very likely thing to happen. I think what you're going to be using these guys for is a bit like how you might use the ninja, where it's a hidden button pusher. I don't see myself taking the main basic profile because it's not a specialist. You get the combi rifle, which is the best gun, arguably the best gun in all of these options, but you're going to be up close to things anyway, so you probably want something that's a closer range, good at close range. So we've got a boarding shotgun option, which might be better. But we've got the combi rifle, the zapper, and paramines. And at 29 points, yeah, it's all right. It's good, but it's not a specialist. And if I'm infiltrating up in the field, I kind of want my hidden deployed unit to be a specialist, obviously dependent on mission, to then just reveal and button push at a key moment in the battle. So the other options feel far better to me. So we have the hacker option with a submachine gun. Good because it's a hacker upfield. Very, very useful to just pounce on heavy infantry passing by and completely immobilize them, cut off their communications, things like that. That might be always fun. I always enjoy having a hidden deployed infiltrated hacker. They're good fun. Then you've got the killer hacker device to deal with any other hackers, or to just be a cheaper option that is your button pusher. At 27 points, it's pretty good. Then you've got a mine layer option at 26 points, which is a bit cheaper. However, I think if you're doing the mine layer option, forward observer option has a boarding shotgun. Boarding shotguns are pretty damn good. I do like them a lot. And having a forward observer just means it's a button pusher. Pure and simple, hidden deployed, camouflaged, infiltrated, button pusher. Straight and simple there. At 26 points as well is like the cheapest option with 0 SWC. Again, very, very good. I think you're definitely going to be looking at using them as a forward observer or the killer hacker device mostly, but the hacker also is a great option. I'm not so fond of the non-specialist options of just the basic one with the combi rifle and the mine layer. These guys are the parachutist combat jump unit that you have, so they won't be deploying at the beginning of the game. Pretty standard profile, nothing outstanding or special. What is special about these guys is, again, in the skills and what makes them a little bit unique from other combat jump units. They have BS attack +1 burst. And with their loadouts, we'll have a look at those very quickly. We've got 21, 23, 22 points for either a light shotgun, heavy flamethrower, paramines, a submachine gun, zapper, decharge, killer hacker, or a forward observer, boarding shotgun, flash pulse, paramines. Now, if I want them to be a button pusher, I'm going to be taking the killer hacker device or the forward observer. Or if I want to try and pinpoint the enemy hacker and jump into their line so I can then hack them, the kill hacker is going to be a very, very viable option. However, I kind of like the idea of using the light shotgun heavy flamer option here to just go berserk on the enemy. If you can find a good spot to combat jump into, at combat jump physical 13, it's not the best, the most reliable combat jump, so you may want an EVO hacker bot to help support the combat jump if they're coming in. But if you do manage to jump in, having a heavy flamethrower with +1 burst, that is freaking scary, because if you can hit a lot of models in that template, wow, you're going to be doing possibly a lot of damage to people, and forcing hopefully some dodges, or you're just suiciding to try and do as much damage as you can. I kind of think that's kind of fun. Personally, it might not be the most efficient use, but I kind of enjoy it. With a dodge +3 as well, you get physical 13 on the dodge. It's not terrible. They have parachutists, so you don't have to do it as a combat jump. You can come on from the side of the board up in the upfield in the game, and that's sometimes a more useful option as long as you have cover there. And they've got obviously the super jump jet propulsion. Quite a useful model, and not too expensive, but I really like the idea of having a scary suicide troop with a heavy flamethrower with +1 burst. I think that's just a lot of fun. That's my opinion. Might not be the most effective or tactical use of the unit, but it's certainly the most fun. We also now get Dinosaurs, which is really awesome in this army. One of the things that put me off of Next Wave when they first got announced was, do I really need a human faction in Combined Army? I do Combined Army for the aliens. But you just added Dinosaurs to a human faction, and I'm like, yeah, I'm on board now. Next Wave is my thing. So having a raptor, and I'm wondering how many people are going to be putting a blue stripe on this guy and calling him blue. We have the Tekdrakens Steel Jaws. These guys have a very fast move of 6'4" as expected from a raptor. Crazy good close combat with 23. Everything else is pretty standard, other than the fact that they are armor 2, so that they can take a bit of a beating, and they have vitality 2 as well, so they're going to stay alive a little bit more easily. Actually, the vitality 2 coupled with immunity to critical hits also means that even if someone gets a really lucky critical, it's not going to do any extra damage or anything like that. So that vitality 2 makes them ever more survivable. Martial arts level 2 as well, so they are pretty nasty in close combat, and their close combat attack is AP as well. They're techno-organic. Still don't know what that is, but dodge -3 puts the dodge, basically if the raptor is dodging, it's going to put a -3 on the opponent's rolls as well, so that's going to be pretty good. Considering they have a physical of 13 means they've got a decent dodge as well. And they also dodge +2 inches. So a lot of these units are really kind of speeding up the battlefield, relying on their dodges. Their dodge is really, really, really good option in this army. Climbing plus, obviously, for a raptor is good. Mimetism -3 as well makes it harder to hit them. So they're going to be putting a lot of negatives on the opponent's rolls if they're trying to shoot them. And these guys are dodging. So you're really looking to dodge up into close combat with these guys. And they're religious, so they're quite aggressive. Now you've got 2 loadouts for these ones. We've got Sensor loadout, which has a flash pulse grenades and viral mines, which means as you're running up the battlefield at super warp speed, you can be pooping out viral mines along your way. Fantastic. They come with a boarding pistol and a viral close combat weapon for 18 points. The other option removes the viral mines and gives them a turret, a combined rifle turret, which I'm not too fond of, to be honest, at 19 points. I'm much more interested in having the sensor to detect any kind of hidden deployed units and to be able to drop vial mines on the way that I go. So out of those two options, I'm probably going to be going with the sensor option, but certainly the turret is an option to bring. Next we have the special named character from the box, and that's Pandora. She's basically a hacker. All of her profiles are hackers, so she's pretty good hacker with an upgrade getting 0 pain. She has courage, dodge -6, so if anything tries to shoot at her, she can dodge. If she chooses to dodge, they're on a -6 roll. So it just keeps her alive. Also with the no wound incapacitation basically gives her 2 vitality, but straight to dead after that. Pretty useful, pretty good at keeping her survivable, which is the most important thing there. She's also FT master for stingers. We don't know what the stingers are, at least we don't know from this point of recording, but the stingers are another unit in the army, but we don't quite know what they do. So they're probably some sort of technical engineer hacker related unit. I'm not quite sure what, as she can actually lead them in a fire team. We'll look at that one a little bit later. But with a whip 14 making her good at hacking. She does have a pitcher, which are fantastic for hackers, which knock over a repeater upfield for you to just start hacking everything. Very, very useful. Flash pulse with +1 burst, very nice. Viral pistol as well. You can add a medikit to her with +1 burst, or you can give her a submachine gun so she can actually have a bit more of an offensive weapon. Don't think I'm actually that interested in the submachine gun option. I am interested in the medikit option, or just going with the base 24-point option with no special upgrades. There is also a fourth option, which is the chain of command. So we can give her chain of command, and I'll get to this in a moment. I think it might be an error on Achilles' profile that I've got here, but if it's not, then the chain of command option is rather important. We're going to talk about that in a moment when we look at Achilles. Also have had the profile for Achilles released as well, and he's rightfully a bit of a beast, with a move of 6/4, close combat of 24, coupled with martial arts level 4 is pretty nuts. He gets frenzy as well, as expected. He goes nuts in close combat. Ballistic skill of 15, which is crazy good. So even if he sits back and just shoots everything, he's really good at doing that. Physical of 15, really nice. That means he's also great at dodging, very survivable. And a whip of 15, I mean, just crazy good. Armor of 3, it means that his armor isn't particularly high. The combined army, he's obviously getting Shazvasti tech because he's not getting the best armor here. BTS 6, so very defensible against hacking. Vitality of 3 as expected, so he's basically a human-sized tag. I'm sure he's still beefier than a human, but yeah, pretty good stat line if we're looking at it that way. BS attack saving roll -1 is very similar to a tag, so his weapons are just doing that much more damage. He has courage, forward deployment +4 inches, dodge at +2 inches, mimetism -3. He also carries a nano screen, so he doesn't have to sit in cover. He's always in cover. Stealth, and obviously no cover because he's always got the nano screen active. Absolutely fantastic stuff. Obviously his cost is pretty expensive. Not crazy expensive, but still very expensive at between 62 and 63 points. Now, according to this profile here, we've got only available on next wave is the AP Spitfire and Plasma Rifle, both lieutenant options. And then 2 stars is only available on generic combined army, where you don't get the lieutenant options. Now, does this mean that Achilles in next wave is lieutenant only? So if you're bringing Achilles, everybody knows who your lieutenant is? I'm wondering if this is an error or not. I don't know, but it's a little confusing here. So if that's the case, then that's pretty nuts, if you ask me, because you're telegraphing who your lieutenant is. If that's the case, then bringing Pandora with Chain of Command is probably a good idea, because just in case this guy dies, you don't want everything going into loss of lieutenant. Although if you're losing Achilles easily, you've probably lost the game because you've sunk a lot of points into this guy. A really scary guy, but putting a lot of eggs in one basket there. We've also, along with the action box set coming out, we have the Glyph Warcors also being released. Now this is a Warcor specifically for the combined army. So, profile is pretty basic, pretty similar to a regular Warcor. The only real difference that we're seeing here is that this one gets dodge +3. And so it just makes them a little more survivable with a dodge of 14. This has pushed up the points from 3 to 4, but we still get a 360 visor option and a 6th sense option. Both come with flash pulses, both come with stun pistols, and a para CC weapon -3. Nothing more really to be said. If you have a few points spare, getting this guy is definitely worth it to give you that extra irregular order, which you can turn into a regular order using your command tokens, which I always find useful. So having one kind of model with irregular, if you don't have anything else with irregular, a Warcor is great to throw into the mix. This also is going to lead us to the other release that we had, which is the next wave tag, the Juggernauts, which is a completely unique tag, something completely different to what we've seen as tags. And this is a giant armored saber-toothed tiger with a lady on the back riding with a sword. Yes, please. I'm all for this. This is fantastic fun. And with a move of 8 too, this thing is charging up the battlefield. Close combat of 22 makes it very, very scary in close combat. BS of 14 is very solid shooting skills there. Physical of 15. Whip of 13. Armor of 8. This thing is a literal tank, and structure 3 expected of all kind of tags. Availability 2, but that's a lot of points to sink in when we look at the points value of these guys. But they got CC attack with +1 burst. So although they don't have martial arts to help them with getting a special die, they're going to be rolling 2 dice in close combat. With the close combat 22, that's really nice. Very, very scary, and possibly both attacks hit. That's also making it much more scary than having a special dice. BS attack, saving roll -1 as well, which basically means, because their close combat attack is a PS of 4, and when you put the saving roll of -1 on there, that's basically giving a PS of 3, which is scary good. They have courage, ECM guided -8, so these guys, I think usually tags have a -6 on the ECM guided, but a -8 is particularly good if they're trying to guided missile you. Dodge now is a physical of 12, so it's bringing down that 15 to 12 for the dodge, which I think is a very fair thing to do. Also has guard. This is the biggest thing about this profile. It has guard. So this thing's attacking you in close combat if you get in zone of control and line of sight. Scary good. Scary, scary good. Tactical awareness, climbing plus, remote presence, techno-organic. Let's have a look at the actual loadouts. So we have one loadout which is plasma rifle with +1 burst and a heavy rocket launcher. I really like this because, as I said before, I love heavy rocket launchers, and the plasma rifle with the +1 burst in the closer ranges is really scary. Both of those are really nice weapons, and coupled with your guard attack, no range is really safe from you. Does cost 82. It's the most expensive profile, and with an SWC of 1.5 as well. It's an expensive tag, but I think it's going to be a really good one and a lot of fun to play with. Then you've got the NCO option with the multi-HMG. If you're not familiar, NCO allows you to spend lieutenant orders on this particular unit. We haven't seen any lieutenant options with a +1 lieutenant order yet, so I'm always hesitant to bring the NCO option unless I have like multiple lieutenant orders to use. But still very useful if you want that extra order to be spent. It's definitely worth it, and with it being tactical aware as well, you can really, if you're really planning to make this the centerpiece of your army and spend a lot of orders on it, that's definitely a great option. And so you can rely on your multi-HMG to be your longer range weapon, and then you can rely on your guard to be your short range weapon. Fairly nice, and at 81 points there, not bad to be using that extra order. Or you could actually just skip the NCO and actually bring it as a lieutenant itself with a multi-HMG. That one's a little bit cheaper at 78 points, but you're really risking things, making your Juggernaut your lieutenant. Yeah, nice options there, and a really cool model. I really am going to look forward to deploying this guy, and even painting this guy. It looks like so much fun. Now, we also got a list of all of the troopers that you're going to be bringing. Now, some of these we just don't know about. So we've got the Harbingers, we've got Stingers, we don't know about them yet. Raindancers, Cliffjumpers, the Wraith one, don't know what that is yet. Ironsides, I'm guessing where it is right now, it could be a medium infantry option that we have, or maybe another heavy infantry, don't know. Then we've got the Juggernauts that we looked at, the Contrabandoleros. Gearheads, we can probably guess, are going to be the engineers, and they're going to have an engineer skill. That would make sense to me, being called a gearhead. We've got Sartroids and Tekdrakens. I think both of these are going to be different types of raptors, I imagine. I'm sure the Sartroids are another type of mechanical dinosaur, similar to the Tekdrakens. We also have a Tekdrakens Black Hearts. I don't know what that profile is yet, but I'm sure we'll be seeing that one soon. And we've got a Skyhounds as well. Don't know what the Skyhounds are. Then we've got some familiar faces joining the sectorial. So we've got the MedTech Obsidon, always useful as a healer. M-Drons, Q-Drons, T-Drons, R-Drons, E-Drons. All of those drones are very useful. I have a lot of them already, so fantastic. And we've got, of course, the slave drones as well. Icadron Bat Droids, that's kind of nice as well. These guys are great for giving you some extra orders pretty cheap and having baggage and being useful, especially if you're bringing things like disco ballers as well. Being able to resupply those is very useful. Unidron Bat Droids can also join the army. Nexus Operatives, Cube Jaegers, Glyph Warcors, which we had a look at. Bit and Kiss also joins the army, as well as Kodali, which makes sense considering they are humans. And then we've got all of the special units which have defected from Aleph: Pandora, Tusa, Drakios, Patroclus, and Achilles. And finally, what we're going to be looking at is the Fireteams chart. Each Fireteam is being led by a special character, which is kind of very unique and interesting for next wave. We've got Team Achilles, where you're basically just bringing all of the special characters. That sounds expensive to me, to have this super awesome elite core team, or Harris team, whatever you want to do, or duo team. Then we have the Shadow Fire Teams, which is going to be using Patroclus with Harbingers or Raindancers or Steeljaws, which are actually getting the Shadow keyword. Achilles can join as well, but he doesn't get the keyword. You've got your Research Team, which is Pandora, which can bring the Stingers. They're the only two that have the Research keyword that link them up together. But you can also take Achilles, Wraith 1, Steeljaws, Black Hearts into that unit as well. That's probably going to be a useful duo that you might take, I'd imagine. Once we can see the Stinger's profile, we'll see how useful that is. Then we've got also the Harbingers fire team. So this one is your basic fire team using your light infantry. So just allowing you to bring a cheaper fire team of Harbingers. And a Wraith 1 can join them as a Harbinger as well. Otherwise, everything else is out of keyword. Dragon fire teams brings Drakios, and you can bring the Raindancers, the Ironsides, and the Steeljaws as dragon into that unit as well. Duo, we can have a Heavies fire team where you can bring like 2 Juggernauts together, 2 Ironsides together. That one I could probably see as being a little useful. Steeljaws, Blackhearts, and Kodali can join with one of those Heavies as well, but they won't be keyword associated, so it would just be useful to move a duo together. You won't get that special dice from them. Then wild cards, we've got the Nexus, which can join Unidron and Harbingers. I get it can join Harbingers as a keyword. I don't understand how it can join as a Unidron as a keyword, because there's nothing else in the Fireteams chart that has the Unidron keyword at all in it, so I don't know why it's there. And then Gearheads FTO can just kind of join in with Fireteams as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more profiles to find out a bit more about how this army really works, but they seem to be like an army of professional soldiers, and with all of their mitigation of surprise attack and increased dodge abilities, they seem to be a very survivable army as well. And they have a lot of unique abilities scattered throughout, so you can approach your opponent in a number of different ways, making you hopefully a little bit of a surprise for the opponent. They're not going to know exactly what you're going to be doing with against them. I think we've got to really see these other profiles though that are coming. I'm sure there's going to be a few more kind of camouflaged units perhaps. I'm sure the Wraith is probably something that is camouflaged or something like that. Or I don't know, we'll have to just wait and see. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it all. It should be a lot of fun. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you are looking forward to some more videos on next wave, because I'm thinking I'm going to try and make a few more. Thank you very much, everybody. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye.